Jody Williams, Jody Williams.
What is up,
And
Brian?
all
How
the
you
people
doing?
in the chat. I'm
Man,
doing good. How are you?
I'm fired up. I've just finished this one cup of coffee. I got to back up here because it's about to get real this Monday morning.
Where would you like to begin?
Well, the topic is obviously, that goes without saying, king of the table. However, there's some stuff I need to get off my chest. And Ryan, you've been doing this for a while, the social media portion. I've been doing this for a while, the social media portion. It's a platform where we all kind of, I don't know, with social media, you got to be careful because there's pros and cons to it. You can have it to work for you. It can make you look like a straight asshole. Okay. Now, we all know the riffraff and all the other dumb shit going on with Michael Todd and Paul Italian and stuff like that. Let me start off by saying this, and this is not me bashing on Paul Italia because I know for a fact there's going to be some Paul Italia buddies in the chat. Now, here's my thing, right? When Paul first got into the sport, which is 3 years ago, a cup of coffee, whatever, when Paul puts his mind to things, he could do some good in the sport. He can. I've dealt with him on that level a couple years ago. Now, with that being said, before I get into my spiel, he's done nothing to me personally, nothing, okay? And I respect that. I've heard stories that he's threatened people, you know? He's blocked people because they had an opinion that he didn't agree with. But when you're in social media, you're going to have those, right? Now, this crap that Devin and Michael had, and I'm putting out $1,000 or 10 grand or wherever the fuck it was, Sorry. It's sorry for the language because it's about to get rated R, folks. So here's the thing. That morphed into now it's Paul Italia versus Michael Todd. Now, if I'm Paul Italia and you love Armas like you say you do, then why are you not focusing on your boy that you're pushing now? You're pushing Jerry Caderet. He's focused. And I think from what Hermes was saying this morning in this video that he's getting ready for Jerry after he takes a couple weeks rest. Now, with that being said, I would put all my attention on Jerry, getting him pumped up. Leave Michael Todd alone. You don't need to go out there and put some kind of bounty on him. For what? He's done nothing to you directly. Okay? Let Michael do Michael stuff. Let Devin do Devin stuff. Let Jerry do Jerry stuff. Because now we're crossing over into no man's land where it's not even arm wrestling no more. Now, there was a comment that, Paul said, I will drop down to Michael, come drop down to 176 and I'll crack your wrist and blah, 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 blah. Now you just sound foolish, right? Okay. And by the way, why do you keep bothering Michael Todd? And here's the thing, I may be biased, but Michael and I talk on the phone quite a lot. There's a lot of stuff that I know that him and I talk to that I don't air out because that's between me and him. Okay. Now, with this bounty shit, hey, you guys take Michael out. I'm going to put out $1,000 for someone to take him out right hand. Okay, fine. There is no stipulations though. He just said to take him out. Michael said, okay, fine. You want to do that? We can play that game. Boom. There you go, Bo Olsen. Bo gets the win. Of course, on the video, Bo's like, hey, make the check payable to Psycho Arm Sports, blah, 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 blah. Then I guess later on, he kind of went, hey, I want to earn that. Cool. This is where Paul does good. He'll take that $1,000 and go, okay, anybody wants to challenge Bo Olsen? Hey, $1,000, come get it. If you need it, come get at me. That's the Paul Italia I want to see. Not the one that's constantly going after Michael Todd, though you don't need to. And the thing is, though, he made a statement on one of his channels because he's posting every half hour now that he goes, hey, well, I don't like the way Michael acts. He calls him Mike Toddler. I'm like, okay, cool. Someone says one thing about you, he gets all huffy and puffy, blocks them, makes threats. What are we doing here? Because now you got all these new people coming into our sport and they see this bullshit. This is not arm wrestling no more. This is a personal vendetta. If that's the case, then do that shit behind closed doors. Don't air it out on social media. And I know people out there may be some in the chat who all about, with Paul Italia might be his friend. Cool, I'm fine with that. But I'm just thinking, and what I'm saying is that he's going about the wrong way. Put your energy into, hey, I'm going to have a Paul Italia, federation. That's cool. Do that then. Don't sit there and get on Michael Todd for the shit he's doing when in actuality, look what the fuck you're doing. Look in the mirror. Stop going after people, putting out bounties. What the fuck does it have to do with arm wrestling? I know he wants to make, he wants excitement. You can do excitement without doing all that because now you're crossing the line, getting personal and shit. And that pisses me off because people ask me, is this what arm wrestling is? No, it's not. It's just somebody being stupid right now. There is a good side to Paul. There is a good side to Paul. But right now, he's just being a dumbass. Dude, leave people alone. Do what you need to do. Focus on Jerry. Focus on Bowles and getting him a match for that $1,000. That's what we need to see. That's what makes arm wrestling good. Not this fucking soap opera bullshit. Stop trying to turn this into WWE. Stop all that shit. Knock it off. That personally pisses me off. And I'll fucking say something to his face.
Well, you know what? I don't know what the catalyst is. I don't know what the thing is that set Paul off on this whole path of attacking Michael Todd. Was it that he didn't want his money when they originally put up the money for the match between him and Devin? Was that it? I don't get it. I don't get why it all started. And I don't understand the hate. Yeah, okay, Michael threw the match. But, I mean, that's no more offside than him putting the bounty on his head. And it was pretty obvious what was going to happen. Also, Paul never put any stipulations on that. So is there still a bounty out there? Can 10 people beat Michael Todd and he has to pay up 10 grand?
Well, that's the thing. No stipulations. So when Todd said, fuck it, hey, you beat me, fine, whatever. Should Michael Todd done that? Probably not. I don't know. But it was a joke. And then Paul got pissed off because, oh, well, you're ruining integrity. The fuck you mean integrity? What integrity are you showing right now putting out a bounty? For what? What has because Michael Todd turned down your 10 grand offer and you're mad about that? There's so many arm wrestlers around this country that will take 10 grand for a match because Michael said no because you got this massive hard on for him. Who cares? Let Michael do Michael. Let Michael focus on his quest for 100. And now he got a torn bicep, by the way. Yeah, he's
got some healing to do.
Right. So let's do the math, folks. If Michael has a torn bicep, maybe that might have been the reason why he laid down. I don't know. Let's do the math, though.
And then I saw footage of him still pulling left-handed with his right hand in his pocket.
Yes.
So I don't get the whole thing. Like, this guy's not a man. He's saying like all that stuff. It's weird to me. And there's really no reason to say it. It's bizarre. And then giving away his shirts, questioning his integrity. And the only thing I can figure out is that Michael said no to taking Paul's money and competing for him. It was, I don't know what it is beyond that.
Exactly. I mean, and Michael said, fuck it, after, Devin had him on a phone call and had decided to put that portion on social media. I'm sure that kind of said, what the fuck? I thought this was a personal conversation and you aired that shit on social media. People got fucking weird.
Maybe we're breaking kayfabe and this is all just manufactured drama to build Paul's channel. I don't know.
Hey, if he's doing a good job, but I'm saying what I feel and I don't give a fuck what he says. And if he wants to come after me, because I've heard and I've seen shit on YouTube on other people's channels I'm not going to mention. They told me, watch my YouTube channel. I watched it, and he's threatening people. What the fuck for? But you're supposed to be this good guy, right? Who loves the sport, but you're threatening people.
I don't
get out of here with all that. Sorry, guys. I didn't mean to rant like that, but that bothered me over the weekend.
I'm glad you got the chance to get it out.
My Lord.
Well, I mean, I don't get it either. It's something new every day.
I mean, look at Jay Clean threatening people online all the time. Boom, there you go. You want more than that? Get a hold of Ryan Grondin, 98%. They'll tell you all that kind of stuff because
I did see that video.
Yeah, you see what I'm saying?
He was sculling or something.
Right. It's like you don't need to be doing that for what? But you love arm wrestling, but you threaten people about beating somebody their skull in. At what point is it not? I mean, when is it not arm wrestling anymore? Right?
Yeah. Well, Justin does make a point here. I mean, the bounty could have been fun. Yeah, very unlikely that anyone who is not elite would pin Monster Michael Todd anyway. But Paul's personal insults are in bad taste. The bounty could have been fun. That is correct.
Yeah.
It would have made the quest for 100 first places a whole lot more interesting and difficult because a lot more people would have shown up to maybe try to get that $1,000
if it was done correctly.
Yes.
But again, he made it so personal that it's like, okay, you had something big and you lost it.
Yeah.
And like you said, with the t-shirts, I got some. Who wants these? I don't need them anymore. They're trash. I'm like, you ain't got to do all that. If you don't like the shirts, fucking throw them away. It's real simple.
Just making sure that Michael Todd will never compete at a Paul Italia event again, ever.
Michael is so elite right now. I don't think he even cares if he doesn't go to a Paul Italia event.
Well, no, I mean that's the point. He doesn't care, and Paul is only hurting himself because he's never going to get that Devin and Monster Michael Todd match at any event that he's involved with.
No,
that
he
event's
burnt
going to
that
be
bridge
reserved for like the Monster Factory or something bigger.
Mm-hmm.
And now, Monster Michael Todd. I mean, let's not ignore the fact that he's going to have an even better King's move now after getting his bicep reattached in just a little bit different spot.
And now the quest for 100 is going to be a little bit tougher because his left is not his go-to. And he's pretty much, I don't want to say he's one-dimensional, but we all know that press is coming. It's super quick and super hard and fast and powerful. So anybody from here on going out to an event where Michael Todd's going, you know, and what sucks is that now, oh crap, you there? Sorry.
Yeah, I'm here.
I pushed the button and got out. And the sad thing about that is the fact that now he can't go to the Arnold, Michael Todd. Now he can't, you know, pull Pablo at the Monster Factory because of this injury. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's right.
And it's a bummer because I was looking forward to that, you know. So anyway, there's my 11, almost 12 minutes.
Especially after what we saw last weekend.
Yeah, exactly.
So Pablo looked really good for the first two matches.
Oh, before we get to that, so again, everybody in the chat, sorry I had to get that off my chest. I forgot to say something, Ryan. Hey guys, welcome to the Can-Am Connection. Your host Ryan Espey and your boy Jody Williams. And please do not forget to like and subscribe to this channel. Man, I forgot that. That's how fired up I was. So sorry about that, everybody. Mr. Ryan, please continue.
It's all good, man. Now let's get to the topic at hand.
Yes.
Aside from the drama and all that stuff that happened, let me tell you my personal experience with King of the Table.
Okay.
I had to leave to go do some work, but I had it playing in the background. So I hit pause on it, and I was planning on watching it and catching up later. Well, I got home and I had it playing on my TV. I watched the match with Pablo and Savin. I watched the first two matches with John and Dennis, and then I got distracted. I had to go do something for a few minutes. Well, someone in my home being very helpful, I said, leave it playing. They decided to hit pause. They hit pause on the stream, and the stream ended while it was paused, and the screensaver kicked on my iPad that I was watching it on that was feeding into the TV, and it interrupted the connection. So when I went back and tried to restart it, it wouldn't restart.
Oh, damn.
So, and it's a 3-hour delay between the end of the pay-per-view and when they re-upload it so you can actually watch it again.
Now, do you know if you hit the favorite button, the little star in the corner, if you click on that as your favorites, you can watch it anytime you want?
Something was wrong because this was not a problem that just I was having. This was a problem a lot of people were having, and they re-upload the thing. But in the meantime, I'm watching all this, and I've got, you know, a whole bunch of people texting me like, oh my God, can you believe this happened? I'm like, oh my God, like, you guys are killing me here. So I knew the results before I had ever watched it. I did see a huge amount of people reposting the whole, like, all the matches on YouTube right after, like recording off of their television or whatever, but they with a phone, you know, on a tripod, whatever it was. However, Jake, oh boy, I did get to see them eventually. So let's start at the top.
Yes.
Savin versus Pablo. And what was Savin saying at the end? Who is he calling out?
He said anybody from the top 8. He didn't say any kind of names, but anybody good from the top 8, and then he'll train for it.
Okay, well, after what I saw, while he is very good, I mean, I'm not convinced that he's the guy that's going to, set the world on fire and all of a sudden be the Levon beater that he was holding himself out to be. He's extremely good and very strong.
Oh, God. Marco GT5 said they say there was over 400 pirated videos. Okay. This goes back to my spiel about social media, pros and cons, right? And we live in a social media world where some folks think that, hey, it's a race, Ryan, answer me this question. Guys in the chat, answer me this question. Sorry to get off task. When you go to an event, an arm wrestling event that you're participating in, and you got people filming the event, right? You can have 3 or 4 people, right? Is it my imagination, or is it that, hey, once the event's done, it's a race to see who can get their stuff posted first?
Yeah, by the time we do our review, a day and a half later, everyone else has posted theirs already.
That's okay, because we still got our fans. We love you all, by the way, because hey, we tell like it is. We don't pull no punches. Hey, I get raw up in here. Rated R, superstar right here. I get raw up in here. So, but I don't like that. It's like going, fuck, dude. I mean, Ingen for a second. Dude, he's going to repost it anyway, right? I will order the pay-per-view anyway, because the fact that this makes our show, right, viable. We get super chats, right? We get people that like our opinions because we tell it like it is. Yes, we'll know the events. We'll know the outcomes when it's all said and done, but it doesn't stop us from doing our show and giving us our thoughts. I just wish people would quit doing it. How in the world can you not afford, what is it, $14.99? I know good and damn well half you guys are going to buy it.
The people that are sharing it bought the pay-per-view.
But why are you sharing it,
though? People that are stealing the footage and like resharing it.
Because we live in a world where it's like, okay, if I post mine first, then guess what? Everybody will like my stuff and comment. And it's all about clout, right? Like, you guys are killing me. Yeah. Sorry, Ryan. Go ahead. Sorry.
100%. Well, the match, I mean, pretty straightforward. We had Pavlo coming in, basically controlling it with inside horsepower for the first 2 matches, and then seemed to gas in the hand and wrist immediately after match 2. And Sabin got a fast pin and then kind of took over, and it didn't look like there was anything that Pavlo could do at that point. And the match ends 4-2. Sabin calls out a top 8 guy. I would like to see him, because Sabin, as much as they say he's a huge guy, he's not a huge guy. He might have been heavier, but a guy like Sandris would be an interesting match for him. Both top rollers.
Yes. And how much does he weigh again? I forgot. I must have missed that.
I don't know.
And here we go. Jay Clay, you made a perfect point, and so did everybody else too. Pavlo gassed out, and Sabin made some good adjustments. The key word in that whole sentence was gassed, because that played a part into the main event, which we'll talk about later. But
well, I mean, the whole thing, it was the story of the day.
Well, okay, being gassed. Now, I know we're arm wrestlers. I'm not saying we need to go train like we're marathon runners. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that we need to train to run the 200 relay or 400 relay race. But at some point, yeah, you're going to need some cardio at some point. I don't care if you're going for walks, jogging, whatever, because if you don't, you just power, you're going to gas out or you're going to blow up, right? And I guess there's a difference between what Levon did, oxygen mask, as opposed to what Pavlo did, where he just got blown up. You can't do anything. So how does one avoid all that, Mr. Espey?
Well, I mean, it's more clear than ever that arm wrestlers need to be in shape, not just strong. Okay. So, I mean, this is going to become more of a topic of conversation when we get to the final, or to the main event rather.
Yeah.
But I mean, these guys, Pavlo, you can't say he's not in shape. He's obviously in shape. However, his style and the way that Sabin pulls, I mean, there's two different uh, draws on your horsepower here.
Right.
And I just think that, it took a lot for him to get those first two wins. He got slowed down enough. Sabin made some adjustments, some significant adjustments, and then Pavlo had nothing left to come back. The interesting part of this is it wouldn't have mattered what the format was. So let's take East versus West, for example. Best of 5 super matches.
Right.
If the final event, the main event of this event would have been best of 5, we would have had a whole different narrative today.
Oh, yeah.
Than what we're going to talk about when it gets to that. So the 6-rounder, it's interesting because obviously when somebody wins 4 in a row, you can just quit. You potentially have a 7th match, a tie-breaking match. I never understood the 6-rounder. And then Sean Hancock once explained to me that in the old school PAL events, 6 rounds, every round had a monetary value attached to it. So there was motivation to win those 6 rounds.
Right.
Right now, there doesn't seem to be any purpose for it at all, unless it's like a very close match where there's a tie going into the late rounds.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, GB, why isn't it best of 7? Good point. Why isn't it best of 7? Because if you're forcing people, like let's take Gabby and Sarah, for example.
Right.
Remember when they were, it was 4 matches up for Gabby. She was wiped out. Had she continued, Sarah probably would have won the next 2 matches.
Mm-hmm.
Fair statement?
Yeah.
What would we be saying? We would be calling for what? A rematch based on that?
Yeah, and Gabby did the smart thing. And, another Paul Italia video he put out there, do we think people need to finish the actual 6 rounds? I'm like, well, I think it's personal preference. And like I said, we'll get to, Levon and Gasparini in a second, but look at John. When John lost his 4 matches to Dennis, I do believe they agreed to it.
Well, the interesting part about that is, we saw John, stopped him, but you could tell that Dennis was kind of playing a little bit. By the time it was over, though, the 4 matches, the winner of the 4 matches had not gassed at all. The loser of the 4 matches was exhausted. So right. Dennis could have easily continued 1-6 matches, right?
Yeah.
Not the case in the main event.
Said James Clark, I've heard 2 of them. James Clark first. I heard a few months ago that the reason for 6 rounds was that if it is a 3-3 tie, it gives the option for a rematch in the future. But we seem to be past that, at this point. Well, look at Vitaly and Chafee. 3-3. No, let's go to Silver Bullet. I'm sorry, that was one of the best matches I've seen that took place last year, right?
Yeah.
And then Jay Clean says, remember the King of Table with Hermes and Gennady when Hermes got hurt after he was up 4-0, and then he pulled the best and not lost both. So, here's the thing, right? Because Arm Wars is a little different. You pull no matter what. There ain't no, okay, I'm done, I'm out. Where this one, it kind of gives you that option, right? So technically, you got the 4 wins, you secured it. And if it's for a world title or some kind of titles, hey, I'm done. I've proven that I've done it. I don't need to do that no more. And even back in the old days where it was the, super matches were best of 3. You remember those days, Ryan? Like,
sure,
hey, I won 2, which technically, you lost 2, which means in a tournament you would have been done anyway. I don't need to go a best of 5. That was the old UAL days, before they started going best of 5 and all that kind of stuff. But I think it's up to the pullers, honestly.
Yeah, you know what? The whole idea of the 3-3 finish and leaving it a tie, that would leave me very ripped off.
That was the old PAL. Remember that?
Yeah. It will leave me very, very disappointed that I bought that pay-per-view and I didn't see a winner. Um, the tiebreaker should happen always, because I don't want to pay another, $14, whatever it is, 6 months later to watch the same two guys arm wrestle again, because there's too many guys out there. There's too many more interesting matchups. Let's finish it and move on. Imagine if John and Dennis would have tied, and we'd be sitting here, waiting for them to have a rematch. Well, it loses its luster a little bit as
Yeah.
time goes on. But what we really want to see is, one of those guys rise to the top. Dennis looked like he could be returning to greatness here, and we can start talking about him in the mix with some of these other guys.
Yeah, you can, and I'm kind of glad. I think when this weekend came and gone, there was some questions. There's always going to be questions. Anytime you have these big events, there's going to be questions. Ryan Bowen, AWE or whatever, same thing. There's going to be some questions. So
I have some thoughts on that match.
Go ahead. I want to hear this one.
Like, does anybody here think, and I don't mean to be disrespectful, but Meadow Orangi, does anyone in the chat think that he can beat Todd Hutchings? I'll wait.
I'd rather see him versus Chan Shaw, honestly.
Ryan Bowen has done an amazing job of promoting himself into matches that he can't win. Now, he makes us believe that he can win. In fact, the poll was overwhelming when it wasn't Todd Hutchings that he was going to beat Meadow Orangi. He just can't. He went in there and he got beat. The biggest, strongest, baddest version of Ryan Bowen we've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
Lost to a guy that is not, with all due respect, is not considered elite. He is a super heavyweight.
Well, the thing is, though, when you live in those countries like New Zealand, you're on an island amongst yourselves, right? And that's what Australia has been fighting for the last 4 or 5 years. You know what I mean? When Lachlan Adair and Ryan Bowen had that match to see who was the best in Australia, there's a ceiling there. And when Lachlan won, okay, you won, but now how do you fare against other people? Okay, then we start bringing Lachlan to East vs. West and King of Table, and Lachlan didn't fare so well. Brought him over to the States to pull Todd Hutchings, didn't fare so well. That's not saying he's not good. It's just like when you're in these continents where you don't have a lot of people as far as population goes, then it's a little difficult to, see that,
You see this statement right here?
John said Ryan called him to take Todd's place. Is that legit? Is that legit?
Man, kudos to Ryan for all he does for the sport. However, he also is polarizing, we'll say. He also asked Derek Smith, apparently. Oh my God.
Was that like last minute or what?
Well, two guys pull out, I guess.
Because I'm thinking
it came out of John's mouth.
Here's the thing. I don't fault what Ryan's doing. Okay, now if you want to talk about somebody trying to make, at least he's not like taking personal shots at people. I'm okay with Ryan doing that because he's trying to say, okay, I want to challenge myself because, like I said before, you're in Australia and it's like going, okay, if you're like one of the top 2 guys in your home country, but you compare that country to Europe, Asia, Canada, United States, we overwhelmingly have a lot more population. So South America, whatever. And, I applaud the way Ryan's doing it because now it's like, okay, if I get that win, then I know I'm on to something. If I don't, I dust myself off. I go back to the lab, train, and then see what else because he's going to get calls. No matter what, he's going to get calls,
Yeah. Well, fair enough. But he's also proving that it takes a whole lot more than performance enhancement to win matches.
Well, okay, so my question would be, honest question, why is Ryan taking somebody who's in a super heavyweight?
Because if you can't find somebody that's elite in your own weight class, the next best thing is a super heavyweight.
But okay, so what's his weight class now? Because when he pulled Coach Ray, that was his weight class, and now he's 235-ish. That ain't Coach Ray weight class. So I mean, exactly what weight class are you at now? Is where I'm getting at.
Is like he's like a 300 plus guy.
Exactly. So it's like, if how you pronounce his name? Meta Marengi?
Metawarangi. I think I'm saying that right.
How would he fare against a Chance Shaw or Derek Smith or Corey West?
With the exposures we've seen, like he came to WAL years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how he placed. I don't think he did extremely well. Of course, that was years ago. So who knows how strong he's gotten. And then you got guys like Ben Carroll. Where the hell is Ben Carroll? He's a super heavyweight out of Australia that used to be, pretty damn good.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that Bowen's ever pulled him. Maybe I'm wrong. Jay seems to be the guy to ask about that. So Ben Carroll, underrated in Australia. We only talk about Ryan and Lachlan.
Is it because he doesn't get they don't get the exposure? Now, what if Ryan said, okay, I tell you what, if I want to make Australia good, then I'm going to focus on, hey, I got this Australian league. Because remember, what's that dude's name? Mario Tambuskis?
Yeah.
He was there. I don't know if he had a match, but he was there. I mean, he was in someone's corner. And what happened to him? I know he came to Washington State Championships 2021. And, some Australians came over here and, they were doing some, they're cleaning the house. And I think Jordan Seal got one win on the guys. And the deal was, hey, Ryan Bowen said, hey, if any American can pin, him on the right hand, I'll fly you down here for a match for free. Jordan won. Never heard nothing about it. So I don't know where we're going with that, but nothing's ever said from that. So I would love to see Jordan Seal, since he actually earned that trip and he followed up. I would love to see, hey, won't you come on down? But I think Jordan was getting over an injury, but I think he just pulled the Utah State Championships over the weekend.
Yeah.
That would have been the match to see for Ryan Bowen, to see where he's at, in my opinion.
Yeah. Or pull some tournaments, man. Like, there's still guys out there, and Ryan is one of them, that jumps the gun with the super matches all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't come up through the ranks like we used to.
Are we? And I'm not going to sit there and say, because I guess some people can call me a super match whore or whatever. And, are we at a point now where it's like, okay, tournaments don't interest people anymore? Because this coming Saturday in Vancouver, Washington, I will be at the East vs. West qualifier, and as we all know, the top two winners in their class qualify for the finals in Virginia, I think in May, I believe. So, so I'm headed there. That's a good way. It's almost like the old, when WL first came out with the regional tournaments and then you qualifiers, y'all met in Vegas. Remember that?
Yeah.
It's kind of like that now. Hey, we'll take the top two in each class. You go to Virginia to the next, round, and then have at it. And then I guess the top person, I don't know how that works after that, but that's how it's going now, which is pretty cool, because, hey, I'm actually fighting for something, Does it guarantee you? I don't know.
It's guys don't figure out. I mean, it's tough to figure out where you stand one match at a time every few months.
Mm-hmm.
If you enter a big tournament, and I mean, let's talk about Matt Mask for a second. He made a video saying he's not retiring because Pradeep was calling for it, maybe, but he's gonna, he says there's no elite tournaments out there. The tournaments are generally soft, but he's gonna go to the East versus West qualifier, but he's not going to go to the West one. He's going to go to the one in Ontario because he thinks it's a better tournament. And then he's going to end up in Virginia going that path. That's a path maybe a lot of people should consider.
If you were to ask me, or anybody in the chat would ask me, hey, Thunder, what do you like better, super matches or tournaments? I would honestly say it all depends, because My style, this is no secret, my style fits tournament arm wrestling, just the way I pull them. But the Supermatch format tells me a lot about the actual puller itself, because now, some people can get away with that one-hit wonder stuff in a tournament. All you got to do is hit the bullseye over and over again. You can get away with that. Not so much in the Supermatch format, because then if someone stops that, you better have a plan B, C, and D. Because then you get to, open up the shed and get all your tools out. Okay, I got my saw, I got my drill, I got my hammer. Which one do I need for this actual super match? And match 1, 2, or 3. Whereas in the tournament, in a tournament, there's a good chance you'll see one guy maybe twice. You won't see him a third or fourth time because of the format. And, you love that, but there's some pros and cons to everything. Ryan, how many times have you been to a tournament and you took like third, knowing good and dead, or maybe fourth or fifth, for example, and the guys above you, you can beat, but because the way the brackets were set up, you never got a chance to pull that person. I've been there tons of times. I know for a fact, here's a guy took fourth place, maybe fifth place, and the guy that took third, what the fuck? I never got a chance to pull that guy. I know I can beat that guy, but because the way the brackets went up, we never met. But in the books, he placed higher than I did. You've been there before, right?
I have been there before.
Yeah. And so it happens,
Sometimes the brackets don't work out, but I mean, that's part of the game. If you're good enough to win, you should still win.
Yeah, you could. I mean, and the only reason why I'm saying that, because I went to a Nevada tournament a few years back. Heck, who was on my side of the bracket? Jordan Seal, Alex Topro. Okay. Okay. Right.
Well, let's use Pork Chop, for example.
Okay.
I pull him at the Nationals. We have a war. He wins. I go down to the B side. He loses his next match, comes down with me. I beat him. He goes down. It's a triple elimination tournament. So he loses his very next match on the A side, comes down with me on the B side. I beat him. He goes down to the C side, and another guy beats him. He places outside the top 4 after being on the A side final. Would he have won the tournament had he and I not pulled earlier? Probably there was a good chance it would have been him and I in the final and not me and somebody else.
Well, yeah. And here's the thing. So when you do a handmade bracket, I know back in the day, you look to see who's in what class and you kind of go, okay, we know there's 4 top studs in here. Make sure those guys on opposite ends, top and bottom on one side, top and bottom on the other side, right? Because you don't want, if you got a tournament, it's like, come on. If it's set up to where you and Pork Chop pulled in the second round, that's kind of stupid, because then you got all the yahoos on that end going, oh, this is easy. I got me a clear path to the finals. You know what I'm saying? Where you take Corey Miller's bracket, hey, once I hit random and I hit that button, where you fall is where you fall. That's it. But then again, it changes your mindset too, because it's like, I go in there, I'm thinking, okay, I got Jordan Seal on my side. I got my first match was Alex Topro. Okay. It is what it is. It happens sometimes. That's the beauty of it, because, my approach to it is like, okay, I'm gonna wreck someone's weekend. Who's it gonna be? That's how I approach stuff. You know what I mean? So it all depends on the person.
Yeah. So are we done talking about John versus Dennis?
Yeah, because I think what we're going to talk about is going to take the rest of the show. So,
well, Dennis sky's the limit. He just needs to move up, but not move up drastically. He needs to move up to, somebody that's not quite Devin Larratt or Hermes or Jerry quite yet.
Yeah.
Although he might beat them all. But maybe give him somebody just a little bit below that tier for the next match.
It was good to see Dennis, because Ryan, you and I talked about it last week, where we didn't know where Sabin was. We didn't know where Dennis was. And lo and behold, here we are. They both came out victorious.
Yeah. So moving into the main event, and I almost wore my crown today, Jody. I almost wore it because I was so close, man. I picked Hermes to win that match, and he almost won that match.
This is where the super chats come into play, Ryan. So I
Had
predicted
he won that fourth match, he would have won the whole thing.
that Levon would win 5-1, and that one match would be an actual pin. Now, I thought it was going to happen either round 1 or round 2. So I'm thinking round 3 must have been the longest round of the entire match. But I noticed something, and this is where I said, okay, I never knew Levon would be suspect to a press.
That's got everyone. We'll get into that in a minute because that's got everyone talking about his next match.
Because what I saw, and kudos to somebody, they still need to throw a party for him in Italy because I'm telling you right now, to be like this and your body's here, you're not here, Jerry's going to be here, right? Picture that. I want you everybody to watch this. This is Jerry Cataract, shoulder behind the hand, right? Now, Gasparini was like this and was giving Levon the business. Surging this way, surging that way, to where the minute he did this, Levon's elbow popped off. I was yelling in the garage because I got my flat screen in there where I have our practices, and my wife came out and says, "What the hell? Is somebody getting a fight?" No, I'm watching the show, babe. This is an interesting match, right? The minute, all of a sudden he's doing this transition, boop, elbow pops off. I'm like, oh, you motherfucker. That's when everyone's eyes open. The entire crowd, Hermes. That right there, that brought chills to me. I'm thinking, oh, this shit's going to fucking happen. Because at that point, Levon didn't get 4 wins yet. I'm thinking, okay, this shit's going to fucking happen. Go ahead, Ryan. What you got?
Jay Clean with his $5 super chat. Begging for super chats. Shaking my head.
Sorry, Jay Clean. Sorry.
What do I got? Well, when that match ended, everyone got super excited about the potential of Jerry pulling Levon. There is one major obstacle he has to overcome first, and he's got to beat Hermes Gasparini.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that is. I think Jerry probably has a better chance of beating Levon at this point than Hermes.
Ooh, highlight Neil. Neil's in the chat. Good evening, where you're at, Mr. Neil. Funny thing is, with arm wrestling is that we all always think we know where guys are, and then something happens to remind us that it's always just a guess. Yes, you're right, and for once, since Vitaly or Angrabayev back in the top 8, PAL days, we never seen Levon sweat. You know what I mean? We never really saw him like, oh, crap, okay, I might be in trouble, because he's been 6-0 on everybody. He's 6-0 Lorette, 6-0 Tim Bresden. He's 6-0, I think he's 6-0 my niece somewhere down there. He's 6-0 everybody, right? He's 6-0 you. He's 6-0 Neil. And he went through everybody, right? Myself included. And the fact that Hermes, and this is the typical styles make matches, right? I thought with that quick, twitch, he was going to, do something in the early rounds, but it just happened just a little bit later. But it gassed him out. Where I'm thinking Levon's like, okay, and then here comes the oxygen tank. Here comes that. I'm thinking, all right, we've seen Jerry sit here like that. And you remember that WO match with him and Michael Todd, right?
Yep.
I think I watched the whole episode of Family Guy. The motherfuckers were still at the fucking table going at it. That's how long it was, right? And I'm thinking, damn, it was a breath of fresh air, because there was a time where we thought, all right, no one's going to be able to touch this guy for years. And here comes Gasparini, who put a dent in that arm and made him look human for a moment. I'm thinking, okay. Now people are licking their chops. Jerry's probably going, Oh, well, let me go back and start bench pressing. Let me go ahead and start repping 535 again. You know,
How heavy is he? How heavy was Levon? Was he over
415 pounds?
415 pounds?
Yeah.
Stamina. If a guy like Hermes can slow him down and get him huffing and puffing, man, I wish they would have pulled that fifth match. I think Hermes would have pinned him.
All we're hoping for, us fans, that one pin. And like I said, if my prediction was 5-1, Levon would have won, right? Okay. If that one was a pin by Hermes, we'd all be talking about that one pin rather than the whole outcome itself. That one pin. And, you know, even I was so excited. It had me on the edge of my seat. Like I said, I was yelling in the garage and, you know, I was like, are you serious? I'm like, he's going to fucking do it. There is a part of me that said he's going to do it. He is going to get that win. You know, can it happen? I don't know.
I just had this feeling because of the styles that he would have a good chance of, you know, wearing out Levon in the hand and wrist.
Mm-hmm.
But we saw what we saw. So Levon takes the win 4-0, backs off the last two matches, got people talking about it, saying that maybe Hermes should win the whole thing because of the forfeit. Not how it works.
Right.
Not how it works.
Okay, why would you win the whole thing?
Because use boxing, for example. If you were to, you know, fight 7 rounds in an 8-round fight and you win all 7 rounds, but you can't get off your stool for round number 8, you lose that fight.
Different set of rules, though. Because in boxing, there is no.
Just an example.
There's like in boxing, there's no best of 12.
No, well, technically there is.
Really?
So it's whoever wins. If the fight goes the distance, it's whoever won the most rounds.
Right.
However, if someone can't continue, the other guy automatically wins. But you see what I'm getting at?
No, I see where you're getting at, but then it goes back to, like, you know, in our sport, okay, if it's best of 5 or best of, you know, it kind of aligns with like the World Series, the NBA Finals, NHL, Stanley Cup, where, hey, it's the best of 7 format. You win 4, there's no need to play the rest of the games, right?
But that's not the way the 6-round format is. You pull 6 rounds. And I'm being devil's advocate here.
Yeah.
Right?
And so, I get it.
Sure, he forfeited the last 2 rounds. Technically, Hermes, you know, wins those 2 rounds. However, if Hermes would have pinned Levon in one of those 2 rounds, then we'd really be talking about something.
Right. If he pulled the whole 6, he was done. I think he as in Levon. I've never seen him in that state where there was some actual concern on his face.
Well, it was nice to see.
You know, and like I said, I mean, we all live in a society where when you see a team so dominant and then somebody kicks them off the hill, like, I'll take you guys back. I'll give you some examples. Was it refreshing when the Yankees kept winning those World Series in the 90s and 2000s, and then the Arizona Diamondbacks actually beat them in Game 7? Was that refreshing to everybody, you know?
It made it more exciting.
Right. When Golden State was just whacking everybody, and all of a sudden, hey, LeBron stepped in, you know, won that one, and Toronto came and beat them. It was refreshing. Or here's New England, the Patriots, always winning and then undefeated. It's always the Patriots and the Giants put an end to that in the Super Bowl. You see what I'm saying? I mean, it's always like, hey, you know, it's human. Yes, Neil Pickup. Oh, highlight that.
Oh, yeah, I'm already on it.
And guys, you need to understand Neil Pickup, the originator of super matches, the originator of 6-round format. Here we go. Original Arm Wars rules. Guys, if you don't at least contest all 6 rounds, you lose the match. Athletes are not allowed to, concede a match, combat sport style lead. Now, if we apply that to the Gabby and Sarah Backman match, what are we talking about?
The same thing. Same thing. Jason Teal says he has a condition that affected his breathing. Yes, Jason, it's called being 415 pounds and still having the same size lungs and heart that you were born with. Yeah, that might have something to do with it. It's the same analogy for, remember the UFC fighters, you come in, you get the lanky guy that beats the shit out of the big muscled up guy because the guy gasses right away. He's got so much body to move that as soon as there's any meaningful resistance on it, he's going to gas quicker.
There is some this is kind of stupid. I know it's Hollywood, it's a movie, but there is something to do that. You know the movie Ant-Man, right? When he gets real big, he gets tired quickly.
Yeah.
There's some thought to that. When Ant-Man goes real big, and he gets tired quickly, using all that energy to move that big body. So I guess if you want to apply it to Levon, that when you're 415 pounds, yeah, you're going to be looking like a Hall of Famer come the first 2 rounds. But if someone takes you to the deep end, now you need an oxygen mask. I'm like, okay, here we go. But 415 pounds, I mean, they didn't have 6-round formats when Cleve Dean was competing, okay?
Yeah, you know what? The Jay Clean is not a fan of Ant-Man.
Sorry, Jay. I was just trying to make sense of that analogy, though. Sorry.
There's actually a lot of sports that don't allow the oxygen tank in between rounds.
Boxing doesn't do that.
Hey?
Boxing doesn't do that, do they?
Combat sports do not do that. You don't see an oxygen tank coming in between rounds.
Yeah, UFC doesn't do that.
No. So I found that interesting to see what match is still going on that was being allowed.
So does Levon and his team kind of sit back and go, okay, hey, we dodged a bullet on that one. Let's get that weight down. Because I remember a story Tim Breslin was saying when they were in China for one of the top 8s, and they all had to walk up a hill as a group. This is between, matches, and they're all hanging out, the athletes. And Levon needed a cart to take him up because he was gassing out. And Tim said, bro, you can't be weighing that much, man.
Well, I mean, that's interesting. Could he have, for sure he could have got to the table for match 5 and 6. Like, it wouldn't have prevented him from doing that. But he might have had to lay his arm down for 5 and 6 or to make it legit. Like, I appreciate the original Arm Wars rules for that reason.
Mm-hmm.
If you cannot continue, you forfeit the match.
And I don't want to say people are faking injuries or any kind of medical stuff, but once you get to 4 wins and they literally know they can't continue. Oh, my elbow, my shoulder. Are we doing that now?
Stacks, I am not around 400 pounds. I'm actually under 350.
Good for you. Good for you. Good for you.
So the heaviest I ever was 388, and that was a long time ago.
There you go. See? So again, folks, I know it's arm wrestling, but yeah, there's some conditionings that, you have to prepare yourself for matches like that. I will be in Manchester, England a month from now, right? And I'm preparing myself to go all 6 rounds. Who knows? Every single round I compete in might be grinders.
Yeah. And for the last month, Jody, I've been doing cardio every day. So
there you go.
I'm ready for endurance style of arm wrestling if it comes down to that.
Yeah. So there is something to be said for that, and I'm glad that, we all could take a step back and go, man, that was a hell of a, and it was only 3 matches. And it was, all of them, we had something to talk about, and just 3 matches. That was cool. It wasn't like 40 matches where it took up the entire Saturday, that was a breath of fresh air. I like that, But hey, like I said before, every time we have these events, they come and go. There's some questions that got answered, but now they bring up different questions. Who's next for Levon? Like I said, if you guys follow Gasparini on his channel, he even mentioned that, hey, I'm going to take a couple weeks off and start preparing for Jerry. I'm thinking, okay, that might be the match now. So.
Well, here's the deal, right? We're talking about Jerry versus Levon, but will we still be talking about Jerry versus Levon if Hermes beats Jerry?
Wow. Okay. So if Hermes beats Jerry, does that knock Jerry out now? Does he go to the back of the line?
I don't think you could justify a match between them if he takes a loss. Like coming off a loss to go against the best in the world would be odd, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. You're right. But even then, though, it's like, well, you have a point there. And by the way, I forgot to bring this up because that was one of the things. It's almost like a WWE thing, right? So technically, Levon won, right? Does that mean now that Hermes lost his helmet and shield? Because I think everything was on the table.
Was it?
I thought it was when they first announced it. It's, hey, Legacy Hammer's up for grabs. The shield and helmet were up for grabs. That was the original talk when this match first got put out. That was the original talks, and it kind of died down. So I don't know if that was still the case or not.
Maybe you'll give him the helmet and shield because when you win that now, you keep it. But it's not up to him. It's up to Engen if that title switches hands.
Well, first of all, two people hold those titles in that weight class because Jerry has the other one.
Yeah. So one of them is like the interim or something like that. Is that the way it works?
Yeah. So I guess honestly, it makes sense for now I look at it from that standpoint. You would go, okay, maybe Hermes needs to pull Jerry to see who's the legit number one because we don't want no John Jones and Daniel Cormier's going around here. Well, I'm the champ. No, I'm the champ. Here we go. Right.
Yeah. I don't like the fact that Engen's recognizing that just because they're two different rule sets.
And like I said, I could be wrong, but that was the initial.
Yeah. A lot of guys in the chat are supporting that, saying Engen said he was recognizing it.
Okay, so I wasn't like losing my mind. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I heard that, but then that talk kind of died down. I'm the one that kept saying, yeah, they're still pulling, everything's on the line. So, but yeah, you got two different organizations. That's like, hey, here's Ric Flair coming from the NWA, and here's Hogan from WWF, and I'm thinking, okay, who's the
now we're just going to find out that Hogan's the best.
There you go. So there you have it. Or do you put in Nick Bockwinkel from AWA and go, all right, now we're putting everything on the line. So triple threat match.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Where do you go from here? Well, we know where we go from here. We got Hermes versus Jerry. If Jerry wins, the path is clear.
Yes.
If Jerry doesn't win, then we got to find someone else. Maybe we're talking about Dennis. Maybe we're talking about Devin having that. Well, apparently Devin's pulling Dennis at some point. Maybe the winner draws into Levon.
But meanwhile, do you think now that, hey, it's going to be Jerry versus Hermes, it's going to be Dennis and, does Dennis still get that match with Devin if Devin does not beat Gennady, which I think he will, but does he still get that match?
Yeah, I think so.
Because meanwhile, here's, it's February. Are we going to see Levon again in 2023? That's the question.
I don't know.
Because and I know he doesn't really pull twice in 1 year.
It's pretty early in the year, man. Pretty early. I would say yes. I'd say the chances are good.
I would
probably at the King of the Table event. Not necessarily East versus West.
No, I'm not going to, talk about contracts, but you'll never see. Levon is the face of King of the Table right now. He's the face.
Oh, Jay Clean. Oh, boy. Well,
yeah. Jerry's a Paul Tiger supporter. That's the equivalent of supporting Osama bin Laden. Well, and there you go, So it's kind of like, okay, I'm waiting on. There's one match I'm really waiting on when this guy is nice and healthy and ready to go again. And I'm telling you right now, Ryan, you like it. I like it because we are southpaws. I'm waiting to see Corey West. Right?
Morozov?
Oh, yeah. That's what I'm waiting on. You
Me
have
too.
to make that match, right?
It makes sense. The match makes sense.
Yeah, once Morozov is done healing, because again, you're the man left-handed, and does it make sense to constantly go into these events going, I'm pulling both? I applaud the guy for doing that. Not everybody can pull that off, but this is a guy that, that's the match I want to see. You got to make that match, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And then
I still want to see Devin and Gasparini, honestly.
Yeah.
But there's too many question marks with that.
Yeah.
So,
well, buddy, we are at an hour. Shall we put a wrap on this one? What's next weekend? We got anything coming up?
I will be in Vancouver. Like I said, that'll be the East versus West, Northwest region qualifier. So I'll be there reffing. Yeah, I'll be doing that. Who knows? I might put my right hand on the table just to see what happens.
Yeah.
Got to get some work in. But I'll be doing that. I don't think there's anything planned because this past weekend was Bowen, his match. Then it was the King of the Table. So I think now it's just gonna there'll be something's going on I don't know about yet. Oh no, the Arnold's what?
Oh, the Arnold's is coming up. Yeah, we'll be talking about the Arnold's next week.
Yeah. So there you go.
Yeah.
And there you have it. Yes, we'll find that out. Oh yeah, we'll have something to talk about.
Yeah, right on, man. And we'll shout out to Stronghold Arm Wrestling League, who March the 18th, I'll be out there refereeing. So I'll keep mentioning that on the show as we get closer.
Yes, I'll be there. Not there, but Arm Sports Entertainment. I'm there reffing. Here we go this weekend.
Right on.
So,
all right, everybody, make sure you check out Jody's channel. The link is in the video description.
All right, and Mr. Espey, you and I will. You got 5 minutes to chat when this is all said and done?
Of course. Just stay on here. I'll hit end and we'll chat.
All right. Hey, guys, thank you very much. Once again, if you saw the first 11 minutes of the show, I apologize. I had to get some stuff off my chest because I really love arm wrestling, and sometimes things can get taken out the left field. I need to bring it back. Arm wrestling is what we do. It's what we do. It's what we live. Okay. So Monday morning, Espey and I are back. Thanks a lot. Love you all.